Hi guys. You don't know the amount of trouble that we've had trying to get this ready. I'm here with one of my friends and colleagues, Ian Barber. Yeah, so I hope this is working. If not, then we're just doing this for no reason at all. However, let's get started properly, shall we? My name is Paul Kinlan. I'm a developer advocate at Google, and I can't say advocate at all properly. I'm an advocate, apparently. Yeah, and I work on the Chrome team, and we're here to talk about Chrome apps. So just before Christmas, we did a whole series, probably about I don't know, about 12 different episodes about what's happening inside of Chrome and Chrome applications and all that type of stuff. And we had a little break over Christmas. We came back, today, this is our very first one. We came back today, and we've decided to show you what's happened since Christmas. I think it's the best thing to do. When I say since Christmas, I think to put it in context, the best thing to say is that we had 2 hackathons. So we've had we've actually had more than that. We've had 3 hackathons overall. We had one in London, which was, I think, October, November time. And then we were going to plan one in Boston and one in New York. Oh, and one in Mountain View as well. But for kind of like scheduling conflicts and some other reasons, the Boston and New York hackathons got put back. But we've done them. We had a whole load of great guys come along. So some of the people on the Chrome Apps community group on Google+, they came along as well. And we showed some really cool stuff, and we did some really nice things. And today, I think today is going to be just really us showing you what the community, what people inside, inside the Chrome Apps community have built. So I think we should start. Should we start? I think we're good. Okay. Yes, we got a nod from the my co-producer at the back. So let's go from the beginning. So we had quite a lot of, Boston was our first one, I think is the easiest thing to say. It was based in the Buku loft. They let us host there, and we had about 30 developers came. It was quite cool, and we got quite a lot of good apps. I got the first one actually, so I basically prepared this whole list of applications that we're okay to kind of talk about a little bit more publicly at least. And the first one, I can't really show you because I haven't got my credit card ready to go and buy it, but it was called Mad Dash. Basically, it's not a horse racing simulator, but you can basically place kind of fake bets and kind of see which horse is going to win. The interesting thing actually, and I'm going to shift off this one a little bit more sooner than I planned, because this actually wasn't a V2 app. So we have these 2 different models at the moment. We have packaged apps and packaged apps V2. We haven't got an official name for the apps V2 just yet. And the main difference is that the original packaged apps live entirely inside the browser. So they live inside the window Chrome. You know, we can see, well, you probably can't see on my desktop at the moment because I don't think it's been shared. Now it's been shared. Awesome. So Mad Dash, this is the one here, and I was showing you the screenshots before. But yeah, this is Mad Dash. It's actually a V1 app. And the thing about V1 apps, it's like TweetDeck, right? TweetDeck is a V1 app where it lives entirely inside the browser. So it'll live like here, basically. And there's actually quite a lot of things that we learned from Chrome OS is that people want applications, you know, they want their web applications, but they want them to live outside the browser. And this application is a V1 app, so it lives inside the browser still. But actually, when they demoed it, it was actually still a pretty good app. It was still pretty cool. But yeah, it was a V1 app. So I should close that one, and I will show you a V2 app, Trail app. So this is one of the contestants from the Boston Hackathon. And basically, if we launch the app, so we can launch from the Chrome Web Store, you should see the fact that it's actually outside the browser at the moment. Now, it's a little bit wobbly because I'm moving it around loads, but the idea is that you can get full control of the canvas. You know, you can control the entire UI that's presented to your user. And in this case, they've chosen just to go with the normal title attribute, like the title bar. So it's like a basic window without any extra little bits on it. You can launch different types of applications. You can have applications which don't even have this little white bar across the top where you control them, minimize, maximize, and close. And the ability to like kind of drag the window around yourself. So you could have like a drag button right in the middle of the application. But essentially this was a ThoughtBot Trail Maps app. It was kind of cool. They basically, from what I understand, they basically ported a traditional web application into the offline kind of model. And that was actually one of the things that we found from quite a lot of applications where a lot of developers at least is that they quite often had a web application that they already had on the web, but they wanted to move it into this native wrapper. And the thing about this native wrapper is actually it's offline first. It's offline throughout the entirety of the application. And you basically try and integrate online functionality in. And the reason why we do this is because we want our applications to work when the user is offline, right? You've got a Chromebook, or you've got your Mac or your Windows machine, and you want your application to work wherever you are, regardless of connectivity. Or at least, maybe not work completely, because obviously, like if it's a Twitter app and you have no internet connection, you can't go and get your tweets, but you should be able to at least see all the tweets that have come back in the past. You should be able to reply to a tweet and say, queue it for later, later to be sent later on. And if you're on the web, you press refresh or try and launch a like a bookmark when it's not on the web or not connected. You kind of you're up a stream without a paddle. I think is the I have to be really careful how I say that one. But yeah, you're in not a great situation, and that's one of the big things that a lot of people found when they try to port their applications to this platform, at least, is that you have to think differently. You have to think in much more of a native app kind of developer mindset, where online functionality is integrated into your app and not offline functionality. This is a nice app. It's basically a tutorial that lets you basically, it's kind of a code quiz from what I remember, that lets you basically learn about different technologies, like understanding the fundamentals of JavaScript. And then by the end of it, you should be able to understand that you can iterate over collections. For a day's worth of work, and getting it from a complete online kind of website into an offline packaged app is really good. So that was a trail app. We have the next one, the video player. I'm pretty sure we're allowed to show this one. They said yes next to it. But we have the ability to play videos, right? And there we are. It's playing a video. It's kind of cool. I believe we can go near a full screen. It doesn't use the full screen API. And I'm pretty sure I'm hoping that we're allowed to show this video. I'll get into trouble. But the idea behind it, right, is that you can have a full canvas-to-canvas video element. So this area here is just a custom HTML5 video player. It's nothing kind of extra and special. That's all it is, right? I mean, you might sit there and go, well, what's the use? Well, some of the really cool things that you can start to do with this is that, well, you have access to TCP and UDP sockets. You could query the local network for media service, local media servers, and then pull the listing off there via the UPnP protocol, essentially. So you can go to your Xbox Media Center and pull in the videos and play it. And then once you can play it on your desktop, or whether it's your Chromebook, well, what happens if you wanted to go on an airplane? Well, the really cool thing was you could basically say, well, I want to take this video that I've got in my media center and then bring it onto my Chromebook or my MacBook or whatever machine that you have, and then play it when you're offline as well. So I think that's quite a powerful demo, and to get this integrated in one day was pretty cool. The things that we would like to see off these type of demos is for me at least anyway, is the removal of this title bar across the top. I want it to be full canvas, like full screen video from edge to edge regardless. And then when you go for the full screen button, is actually to use the full screen API. That should work, and you should be able to take that window and make it a proper full screen like you'd expect from a native application. So that's pretty cool. We have Happy Friday. Now this was in Boston, I believe, and this was actually a really good app. So basically Happy Friday is a game that they have been working on already, so it's not a brand new game from the day, but they got it to work offline, right? And it basically is an SVG based, well, I believe it was SVG, it was SVG powered game. So if we launch it, again, you can see this kind of nice kind of window that's not part of the browser. And we have this little dude, and I got confused with this. It's not press right to start, it's actually press D. So we can go through, start a level. Let me see if there's any sound. No audio at the moment. Oh, there is. It's pretty cool. Oh! Did not realize that was on. Sorry, hoping the sound's on, but there was a sheep in the background. But you can at least jump. You can do these cool things, collect. And this is the thing that we want to try and get from this platform. Wow. Oh, and he died. Is the ability to have games that work offline, games that you install, games that users think are games on their platform, not just like these games that live inside a full web page, inside a Flash little kind of container in the middle of the screen. We want these games to be immersive, right? And to get this done in one day was pretty cool. I'm really pleased with this app. And I think they should sell it. I think it's a game that you could sell quite easily. Way. I believe it might use Box 2D in the back end as well. Also in the back end. Might use Box 2D to actually do all the physics, but it's powered, I believe, via SVG. And I think these guys won as well, like won the best app or the best looking app in Boston. It was a really good effort from the guys. So let's have a look at the next one. Letterbrush. This was Boston as well. So this one I had no idea existed, right? I didn't even know that this was a thing, but basically when you're creating a 2D game, you want these maps, right? You want the ability to basically construct a map. So you can do certain things. So I can press on the keyboard like F and C, and I can build a 2D map just quite quickly, and I can say this is a line, I'm going to go from here, I can build across that way, and I'm going to do a square, and this is my 2D map, right? It's just, that's what you want, right? It's pretty cool. Now this actually is an existing web application, right? It's not a brand new app for the day, but what they've done again is they've taken this web application and ported it into a native container, and it works completely offline, right? I mean, you don't have to think about app cache and use all these other things. But the really cool thing that I liked about this was that they actually let you save using the export button, and then save to file, and then you could save directly to the user's desktop. So that's my web server, so that's okay. So press save, done. Now I believe what basically happened in the background now is that it basically did autosave all the way through. And then the thing that you don't get on the web right now is the ability to do an autosave. So you can't save a file and then keep a reference to that file and then keep writing and writing and writing to it, whereas you can in this. And that was pretty cool. And I believe this might have won one of our best apps. A lot of people really like this application in Boston just because they took it from a completely online app and brought it offline. Pretty cool. Now this one, right? Let me refresh this page because it's installed. This is called Chompy Ball. I've only played it briefly inside New York, but I watched one of the developers, and I can't remember his name at the moment. Let's see if he's got it on there. Raheel Khalid. And basically, this is a really good app, right? Basically, it's a 2D canvas, right? The entirety of this surface is a 2D canvas. And he's been, let me just play. I like playing games, so I'm not going to pay attention to you guys. Here we go, right? And so he built this game in a day at the New York Hack-a-thon. And the entire thing is just a canvas, and it's a relatively simple game. But the really cool thing was he actually built it with just a Chromebook entirely. So he didn't have a normal PC. What we'd say a normal PC is a Chromebook is a normal PC. A traditional desktop or a traditional laptop, right? He built this thing with just Chrome OS. And the really cool thing was he used let me just go to github.com/Chrome App Samples. Mini Code Edit. I believe he used this tool here, which is called Mini Code Edit, which essentially is just Mini Code Edit is just a normal code editor using the ACE syntax highlighter, done by the guys who do Cloud9, I believe, Cloud9 IDE. So he basically just used the ACE editor inside this Mini Code Edit, could save files out to his desktop, open them back up again, and made this entire game in one day. Just using the Chromebook, which I think was quite impressive. There was another guy his tab's here, Joe Sullivan. He built this thing. I can't demo it today because I can't kind of just get it working, and I need some apps to kind of show it working properly. But he also built, Joe Sullivan actually did a whole load of stuff around like a clone of the Web Intents API, because obviously we've removed Web Intents from Chrome. We have people who still want to use basically an application discovery mechanism, so they can communicate between apps without them having to know each other. And he built this thing called Spoke, which is it's an API basically that to emulate Web Intents inside Chrome apps. And he built that in the day, but he actually did that using a Chromebook as well. So that was really cool. I think we had 2 guys in New York use Chromebooks and 1 guy in Boston who used a Chromebook. But the game was particularly impressive, Chompy Ball. It was pretty cool just for that one day. And finally, I can't remember the guy's name now, but he actually did 2 apps, and he's only listed one of them at the moment. But Paycheck Calculator was pretty cool. And again, this was, he says, it's pretty much a rip-off of this one, which is kind of cool. But the thing about this, it's a simple app for working out basically tips and keeping track in a more textual format of expenses. And we had to do some things. The interesting thing about this was, we'll launch it first. Dinner for $12 maybe, and then I bought an Android Nexus for 250. I don't know the price. Oh, right, it's multiplying by 4. We are Nexus 4. It's done something wrong, and my demos are failing. There we are. It's basically, he actually explains some of the algorithm of this. It basically picks the numbers up and then tries to work out kind of whether you should multiply and then say, you might say, well, I gave the clerk a 10% tip. So yeah, it's worked out. 26.2 is the tip that you should do. Now, I thought that was pretty cool. I thought it was a pretty nice app. You got it working in a day. Interestingly, we had a lot of problems with this because, as you've seen, that if we type text in, see the thing, a lot of it kind of expands and moves about the actual surface. Well, this didn't work at all. So this is like a content editable area. And the very first time that you start this application, there we are. It starts out like this, but the problem was, well, we had two problems actually. First, we couldn't select any text. We couldn't actually start typing in because it's a content editable div. It's not, or it's a pre or a div, but it's not a text area, right? It's just something that's content editable. And content editable itself doesn't accept user clicks. So you can't, the thing about apps, right, is that you can't select stuff all the time, right? You know, you're in Gmail. This is the thing you see about the web at the moment. You're in Gmail and you double click on something that's not quite the actual email document. It might be like a part of a button. And then all of a sudden the entire user interface is selected. So what we've done with apps is we've inverted the selection model. So only text boxes and text input areas and places like that where you expect to actually input text are things that will actually start to receive text input. It sounds a little bit silly, but that's what's happened. But yeah, so content editable items aren't in the actual style sheet to have the ability to actually do user selectable text. But that wasn't too bad. We fixed that. It's just a CSS attribute, WebKit text select, I think it is. And then you can start to type stuff in. And I think the other interesting thing about this was we have, I think it's a bug, but it might not be. But we have this issue where you might set your your window to 500 pixels by 500 pixels. However, the HTML element is 0 by 0 until you start filling it with content. So that actually kind of wraps the content rather than fills the window. So you have to basically put a CSS attribute on your HTML element and your body element if you want it to kind of autofill to be width 100%, height 100%. And sometimes you can also put position absolute, and that kind of fixes it. One big bit of feedback that we did get, and let me just see if I can test this. Right, see that? See, this is kind of interesting, is that there's no scroll bars. Now, we need feedback from you guys as developers to actually say whether we should have overflow auto straight on this thing or whether you want to control that yourself manually. I think it's a little bit of a user nightmare. I can't scroll back up. You can get around it. You just put overflow : scroll X or overflow X scroll, for instance, or overflow Y scroll, and then you can get the scroll bars back on. But we need to know from you guys whether you should actually have this as a default feature inside the platform. So anyway, that was the paycheck calculator. Let me see if he actually put his other app in. No, we didn't put his other app in. I can't see it there at least. So it was a color picker. So you basically just have a color picker. You expect color pickers to be part of the web, not as a web page, as a separate app, and that's what it was. Yeah, and that was it, right? So we had quite a lot of developers come in. I think there was 50 or 60 overall in both hackathons. Obviously, some people didn't want to want us to talk about and show off their applications. So we haven't done it, but if we get some permission, we'll ask the guys to come in as well and show some really cool stuff. The new things that have happened since Christmas is kind of interesting, right? We've got a couple of things that we're going to talk about over the next couple of weeks on the Chrome app side of things. So we have rich notifications. So some of you guys might have seen a rich notification panel happening in Chrome OS and some things on Google Plus by a guy called Francis, who's kind of found some of the stuff that's happening inside Chrome. So we're going to show off kind of like the notification API, essentially. The notification API is kind of interesting because we had HTML5 notifications. So it wasn't HTML5 notifications. There was a specification that's a subspec of the broader HTML5 specification, which is a notification specification, and it had two components. Well, we had one component which was create notification, and then we had a second kind of proprietary one which was called HTML notification, where you could basically create an iframe that would appear as some part in the kind of the application. A lot of guys, user agent vendors, didn't like it. We liked it. TweetDeck used it like crazy. We liked it, but a lot of other user agents didn't like it because it didn't integrate with a native kind of system notification setting, like system notification providers. So like your Android kind of little thing that you bring down at the top, that's not HTML, that's just basically strings and some images, and likewise with iOS as well. So we've still got HTML notification in Chrome apps, but we're going to encourage people to use the richer notifications. So I think Joe Marini, I believe, is going to show you that demo at some point in the near future. We also have push messaging, which, yes, I can talk about because it's on the docs. Just make sure it's not secret. But we have this idea of push messaging, basically, where you should be able to basically send a notification to a server, and then any one of your connected applications should be able to receive that notification and display something to the user. So we're going to have that. That's kind of interesting. We're also going to talk about alarms as well. Some people try to use alarms at the hackathons to varying degrees of success. And the idea of an alarm is it's kind of like set timeout and set immediate, where you provide a function, tell it when in the future it's going to be called, and then the system will notify your application when it should wake up and process that code. The interesting thing about this is that it's not exactly like set timeout. Set timeout will do like 1 second or a couple of milliseconds up to, like, you could set days, right? But if your application's not running, it'll never get kind of registered and handled when your application's not running. The idea behind set alarm is that in theory, your application could not be running. And because Chrome is kind of keeping track of the notification or track of the registrations, you could say in 5 days' time, pop up this alert, and it'll pop up the application. Won't pop up the application. Your application code will be called, brought back to life and called and executed, and then you can do something with the application. Maybe show a richer notification, those types of things. So yeah, I mean that's the summary of kind of what's happened. We're going to have a lot more kind of things to talk about over the upcoming weeks. As always, we want you guys to tell us what you think you want to hear about, what you think you want to hear about, what you know you want to hear about. We can kind of try and start to talk to. The best place to go and kind of contact everyone is either the group, Chromium Apps at googlegroups.com. I haven't got any placeholders to kind of overlay at the moment because we had such a... I won't tell you how much effort we had to do to get this video working. But it involved reinstalling a lot of things in the last 2 minutes. But anyway, we also have a Google community, Google Plus community, which I believe is called Chrome Apps and Extensions. There's about 500 people involved there. If you have any questions, any feedback, or things that you want to see, either leave them on the event post that we've done, or just leave it in that group. And we are pretty active there as well. We're all members of that community. It's run by an external moderator called Bruno. So yes, leave all the feedback there. And I'm not going to say we're done. I'm going to jump to some questions. I know there's some things have come in. So let me just switch to some of these now. Okay, none on the moderator. 10 votes for 1 question from 12 people. Brilliant. So we've got one question in the moderator. So the question, shall I read it out? I'll read it out. The question about publishing packaged apps are still in developer preview, and because of that cannot be published in the Chrome Web Store. Are there plans of releasing packaged apps anytime soon? From Oleg in Toronto. Really great question. Obviously, we never comment on actual physical launch launch timelines. The interesting thing is that you can actually put applications inside the store today. They just can't be discovered. So all the apps that we showed you before, let me jump through here. These are actually all inside the web store today. Paycheck Calculator, Chompy Ball, Letterbrush. They're all inside the Chrome Web Store. It's just that when you search for Letterbrush, you won't be able to find it in search. So if you want to make something now, you can start pushing it up. I know one of the really big things at the moment is like you want to get that discovery and the kind of the funnel of the Chrome Web Store kind of driving traffic to your app. Right now, it's not there. You'll have to actually install, basically direct the user to the app. That's the only thing that we can say right now. So that's the question. We don't have any kind of solid timeline that I can tell you right now, but we're working on it like crazy. What's this? Silver Onion. Cool. Let me just jump to see. No, that'll be it, I think. So yeah. I'm going to check one more thing. I don't know whether I'm allowed. I won't share my screen. I have some G Plus notifications. Anyone asked any questions? No questions. No questions. No questions. I think we're done. Yeah, if you do have any questions in the intermediate period, please put them on the group or email me, paulkinlan@google.com, or actually go on our Google group as well. And with that, thank you very much and goodbye.